Nobody thought the day's calm would crack until Alex Pereira fired off 15 furious words that rattled two whole divisions. The post landed in the dead of night, yet every phone lit up at once. I always answer the UFC's calls, but if they want to play with me, we can do that. He followed with the part that really froze the timeline. I've already had thoughts of not fighting anymore. This may be the start. No emojis, no spin, just an ice-cold threat from a man known for extinguishing consciousness with a single left hook. Fans devoured the line, then dove straight into conspiracy mode. Was the UFC yanking his promised rematch with Magomed Ankalaev? Had matchmakers offered someone outside the top three? Pereira's team stayed silent, but leaked whispers painted a picture of a late-afternoon phone call that ended with the champ slamming the screen, stalking across his São Paulo apartment, and telling everyone within earshot that he'd rather walk away than be a pawn on someone else's poster. A champion threatening retirement is one thing. A champion who already left one sport, kickboxing, at the exact moment he hit the summit? That feels different. And just like that, the light heavyweight belt he'd lost 6 weeks earlier turned from gold to hot potato. The rumor mill spun itself silly searching for the spark.
Camp mais duro aí que eu tive, desde quando marcaram essa luta, eu estava no Brasil, né? Tive problema com meu visto, eu fiquei 10 dias indo e voltando no consulado todos os dias ali para ver se meu visto ficava pronto e não sei o que aconteceu.
One camp insider claims the UFC is flirting with Ankalaev versus former champ Gigi Prochaska for an August pay-per-view, bypassing Pereira, who'd been told he was option A. Another swears the promotion wants Jamahal Hill instead. Either way, the phone call Pereira received apparently ended with, "You're on standby." That single phrase, insiders say, detonated the post. But money also lurks in the shadows. Saudi Arabia's sudden flood of cash into combat sports has every elite striker weighing a crossover. The kingdom has already dangled 8-figure boxing purses at UFC names, and Pereira, with his kickboxing resume and highlight reel brutality, fits the bill for a Saudi mega event against a heavyweight technician like Alexander Usyk. The same managers who orchestrated Francis Ngannou's boxing jump are rumored to be whispering in Pereira's ear, "Be patient. The desert pays more and you won't need to wrestle." If Pereira walks, the ripple is tidal. Ankalaev would almost certainly defend against Hill or Prochaska, but the bigger casualty might be John Jones's last great heavyweight storyline. Jones has danced around a potential champ-champ showdown with Pereira for months. Strip that away and the legend's farewell menu looks thin, unless Tom Aspinall's cheeky Instagram photos of John Jones' ducks lure Bones back to the hunt. Meanwhile, the Brazilian's absence would also scramble the heavyweight chessboard. UFC planners once envisioned Pereira bulking to 240 pounds for a Wembley Stadium spectacle against Jones in 2026. Yank that card, and the road from now to then suddenly looks like a cliff. Investors hate cliffs, and Endeavor's new Saudi partners hate them even more.
If I'm being completely honest, I feel like Tom's been such an asshole that I don't want to do business with him. You know, it's just like his fans have been so annoying. And obviously you don't get this far in a career being affected by fans or whatnot, but he's just an asshole.
While the light heavyweight belt smolders, middleweight champ Dricus du Plessis is busy lighting his own bonfire. The South African has never minced words, but he reached a new level of savage after watching Olympic wrestling legend Bo Nickal meet the canvas courtesy of Reinier de Ridder. He got served full pies of humble pie. DDP sneered on a radio hit, doubling down on social the next morning. "This is not wrestling, my good man." Nickal's resume, 3 NC titles, 2 Hodge trophies, had spawned a tidal wave of hype and a few tone-deaf predictions that he'd ragdoll the entire top 10. Du Plessis seemed to relish the implosion. The guys he's fought, nobodies. Humble pie does wonders, and trust me, at the top, the shots land harder. Then came the grenade. DDP revealed that the UFC had given him 2 potential dates.
The Achilles quote of making pacts. I said, there are no pacts between lions and men. This is another one from Achilles. And since he's standing across the octagon, is there no one else? Is there no one else?
Both inside 4 months to defend against Khamzat Chimaev. He'd accepted both. Suddenly, Chimaev du Plessis had traction, and Nickal's future felt like yesterday's headline. Nickal, for his part, took the defeat with public grace, even if his eyes on Ariel Helwani's show revealed the sting behind the smile. "I thought I did everything," he admitted, voice steady but jaw tight. Looking back, I wasn't as prepared as I believed. There were things I just hadn't felt before. Translation for the hardcore crowd. 7 professional fights cannot imitate the weird rhythm of a champion-level opponent who refuses to wrestle and instead sneaks knees up the middle. Still, Nickal's self-belief borders on defiant. This loss motivates me more. I told Coach Mike Brown on the flight home, I want another fight ASAP. He's lobbying for 2 bouts before year's end, one on the International Fight Week card and another in December. Matchmakers like busy contenders, especially ones humble enough to rebuild on camera. Yet critics question whether Nickal will overhaul his striking defense in time. They point to how he dropped to a knee rather than a punch and wonder what happens when a veteran like Derek Brunson or Chris Curtis tests his chin with 4-ounce gloves and no tape delay. All roads, though, lead to Montreal on May 10th, where UFC 315 promises chaos, title changes, and maybe the loudest Canadian crowd since GSP's heyday. The headliner pits welterweight king Belal Muhammad against the relentless hands of Jack Della Maddalena. Oddsmakers call it a coin flip masked as a style clash. Belal's blueprint is pressure, chain takedowns, and a pace that makes opponents look as though they're jogging in snow. Jack's path is cleaner. Keep the fight upright and turn each exchange into a technical firefight where his liver shots and seamless boxing combinations steal the judge's eyes or the opponent's consciousness. Analysts keep replaying Della's narrow win over Basil Hafiz, where short-notice takedowns nearly derailed the Aussie's momentum. Hafiz is tough. Muhammad is merciless. One sloppy sprawl and the belt might change hands before the first commercial break.
Oh, those guys can't. This guy can't. This guy can't. It was an excuse for everybody. And I was like, when I'm healthy and I'm good, I want to be in the cage. I want to stay active because I don't want to sit out. You don't know. It's so easy to get injured in practices when you're not training and stuff like that, that I was like, I have to stay active,
Hovering like a hawk over all of it is Garry, weighed in and ready as the official backup. He filmed a breezy Instagram reel explaining why he's spending his own money to sit on deck instead of sunning himself in Dubai. I'm here to make sure Canada gets a fight, he declared. Cue the cynics. They claim Garry's real motive is to crash the post-fight octagon speech, shove his face into the camera, and secure a headline slot in Dublin by end of year. And maybe they aren't wrong. Garry also spent the morning trolling Della Maddalena by handing the Aussie's favorite snacks to him mid-weight cut, via Garry's toddler son no less. Some call it harmless banter. Others see psychological warfare disguised as a family vlog. Either way, if Belal or Jack rolls an ankle at weigh-ins, Garry will walk into the Bell Center with zero pressure and one enormous chance to upend the division. Montreal isn't just about 170 pounds. The co-main anchors Valentina Shevchenko's pursuit of a second reclamation. Across from her stands Manon Fiorot, undefeated in the UFC and more than willing to derail a legend. Shevchenko swears she fixed the lapses that cost her the belt. Fiorot counters that youth and momentum trump experience every time. Meanwhile, Islam Makhachev is rumored to fly north, cage side, evaluating whether the winner of Muhammad Della can sell a stadium for a champ-champ bid. The lightweight King's Corner sees the welterweight belt as temporary jewelry, if and only if Pereira's bombshell doesn't force the UFC to redirect pay-per-view resources elsewhere.
Talking about you also is Ilia Topuria. Do you have a message for him? He really wants to fight you next year.
No, man. I'm tired to give chance the small guys, you know. I need my
Middleweight remains the wildest battlefield. If Du Plessis and Chimaev collide in late summer, the outcome strands Israel Adesanya in purgatory or slingshots him into an immediate title eliminator with the winner of Jared Cannonier versus Nasruddin Imavov. Adesanya has already teased a September return, but with Pereira threatening retirement, the UFC's marketing juggernaut might decide to stack Izzy opposite Chimaev for star power, leaving Du Plessis sidelined despite the belt. That political dance is why the South African champion's post-fight interview after UFC 313 resonated. "I'll fight anyone anywhere, but you do not get to play games with me." A line that sounds eerily similar to Pereira's midnight post and hints at a broader locker room frustration. Champions feel the schedule shifting beneath them, and they're starting to push back in public. The chessboard, though, isn't confined to belts.
John Jones is probably watching this, so send him a message.
Hello, John. I have nothing against you personally, but I just think I'm better than you. I just know that I can beat you in a fight, so I'm coming for it.
Tom Aspinall keeps dropping photobombs of Jones's head on ducks, daring the GOAT to sign a contract. Sean Strickland uses body shot sparring as morning cardio, filming each crunching blow and uploading it with captions like, "I'm so fat I eat body shots like cookies." Corey Sandhagen, dissecting tape with the cool detachment of an engineer, predicts the Sean O'Malley-Merab Dvalishvili rematch will look almost exactly like the first one, because recovering from hip surgery doesn't allow a crash course in anti-wrestling. Behind every headline hides another disagreement, another social clip, another pinch of spice for fans who devour 30-second conflict as eagerly as any 5-round war. So where does all of this leave us? A champion who knocks men out with calf kick counters is flirting with retirement. A college wrestling icon just tasted his first real humbling, and the world loved every second. Two welterweights are 10 pounds from the biggest night of their lives, but a charismatic Irishman lurks one false move away. A middleweight belt may be defended twice by Christmas, or winds up contested by two men who've never touched it before. And floating above everything is the uncomfortable question. Has the UFC finally reached the point where its own stable of killers is so crowded, so combustible, that one scheduling shuffle can set off a chain reaction nobody planned? The cameras will find Dana White at the UFC 315 post-fight presser. They always do. If Pereira is serious, that room could transform from the usual victory lap routine into a first-round media blitz. White might wave off the concern with a smirk, or he might unveil a jaw-dropping replacement bout that dwarfs even Saudi money. We don't know. But that uncertainty, those crackling possibilities, are why every eyeball in the sport is locked on one Montreal weekend. If one fighter trips or one champion actually follows through on that restless itch to walk away, the landscape we wake up to on May 11th could feel like a new planet. Until then, every fighter keeps shadowboxing their own doubts, every fan keeps refreshing, and every rumor, no matter how wild, feels just plausible enough to believe. Because in modern MMA, there's only one guarantee: the moment you blink, the story changes.